I don't think if you're selling $20,000 worth of wheels, I don't think they have to sell you much.
Well,
You're
it
already-
was more of
you're already doing
that was
it.
when we did our stock for all the new Tacoma Land Cruiser stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of needed to get rid of all the old 5-bolt stuff and the old Tacoma because
Yeah, what's the new bolt pattern?
it's the same pattern. The studs are bigger though.
That's stupid.
It's like a Volkswagen Audi thing.
That's just stupid.
Oh, it's a 14 millimeter lug now.
Yeah, so all the old Tacoma wheels we couldn't use on the new ones. So like the DRD off-road wheels and stuff.
Yeah. Can you go backwards because they're smaller? So like take all the takeoffs and put them.
We
on the
tried
old
that. It didn't work.
Ones? It wasn't good.
We tried that.
No backwards compatibility.
You'd need like a different lug nut with a deeper seat or something.
Yeah.
Then it would be a real crapshoot on if it centered up.
Well, and then you'd be liable.
Mm-hmm.
You knew there was something going on, and you felt like you should change it, but instead you made it work. Can't do that at a dealership. You can do that in my garage. Can't do that at a
Started doing engines though.
Oh, the
3.5s. Yeah.
How many?
We've done. I think we just finished our third one today.
Okay.
And it's just in and out, right? You just
Yeah,
yard the old
fully-
one and
To reference an old episode, it's fully dressed,
Ooh.
engine oil,
Oh.
everything. Only thing is the starter and the harness.
dang.
So
That's cool.
big old box and
Did they finally confirm the whole problem? Right? It's
it's machining.
just machining
Yeah.
stuff left in
and
there.
It's a production date range.
Ah,
So,
Yeah, it was like debris left over, right?
mhm.
Okay.
Clean your workstations, boys.
Right.
You tell me to go up, and then you tell me to go down.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it turned out it was actually me and not the
it was
volume.
the microphone, not your headphone
Yeah.
volume.
Yeah. I couldn't tell at
Jeez.
first. And then I could tell when Aaron touched the table and I could hear the fiber of his being through my headphones. And then,
Sorry.
but I still couldn't hear myself.
That's funny.
Well,
Sean,
go ahead.
no, you're just over here being a rapper.
Am
Can
I?
you turn me up in the headphones? I
Mm.
need more snare.
Yeah. I wish I could do a really good impression of any rapper, but I can't. Yeah. One of those things.
Sorry.
Yeah, where's your soundboard? Give me
You
no
don't have a-
soundboard. Damn
So
it.
just these. Only got 4. A, B,
Yeah.
C, and D.
All right.
See D's nuts.
Wow. We got that one still.
I don't mind. Those jokes are not for you. They're not for anybody at home either.
For you personally.
Just for me. You can ask Haley. I haven't told a joke for another person in 20 years.
I don't think she's known you for 20 years.
No, but I've told her that I haven't told a joke for
Oh,
another person
well,
for 20 years.
That's all you need to do,
Yeah.
right? Just say you haven't done something for
That's
20
right.
years. That's set in stone. Everybody knows it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's on the internet.
Mhm.
Which makes it
So
even
it's-
more true.
Yeah, more true. The most true.
It's truer.
What were we talking about? Wheels, Toyota engines. Oh, how's that going? Has it been?
They got it pretty streamlined. So only issue with as far as Toyota goes, they want them back.
Really?
If we're not doing them fast enough, then they'll cut us off from ordering them. So
Whoa.
yeah, so
So you got to move through them.
Wow.
But I think as the guys start doing them, they'll get faster with it, obviously. So
Yeah, I mean, they're going to want to, right? They're going
Yeah.
to want to make it so that they make a ton of money on it.
yeah,
So-
exactly.
Do you know what the hours are on it, or
I didn't look at the hours.
okay?
Royce was talking about that this
Mm.
weekend, and he said that it only books at like 14 hours.
Yeah, which sounds about right.
That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Our profit's like $3,000, I think, for parts. So I'll take it. So.
Yeah. It's nice.
Well, yeah.
It's not nothing. Huh. And you said you've done like a handful?
Yeah, I
so
think
far?
we've done 3. Like I said, I think we just finished the third one, and we've got 2 in crates in the drive right now waiting. So
Crazy.
Yep.
Cool. Has there been any, we talked about around that same time, there was some like transmission talk, like one person had a transmission problem with a Tacoma on the internet. You guys seen anything?
no.
I hadn't heard any more about it either, so I was
Yeah.
kind of curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't really heard any issues with them. So
I started to see a decent amount of Tacomas around, and I was still, at the beginning, I was saying to everybody that I had a hard time telling them apart immediately, but now I'm used to seeing them, and I've seen a lot of them with sure what you guys are doing, just a leveling kit and 33s or whatever. And I don't know, I'm into them. I think they look good.
Yeah.
I just saw, I should have read this since this is the Midsize Truck podcast. A show, sorry, Midsize Truck show. Yeah, podcast.
Just always
Wait, one
podcast
more.
at the end. Oh, you're going to give it one more try?
Campfire Passport podcast.
Bump.
Okay.
There we go.
Anyway, I saw a review on the new 4Runner because they did the launch on it. And there was a bunch of media about it. I read exactly 0 of it. So
Good job.
Yeah.
I saw a
Doing
pro
his research for the
jumping,
pod.
and that was the extent of my research.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of those videos and they were targeted, and I'm not that interested into them. I don't know. It's not something that I'll ever be ready to buy new. That wouldn't be on my list of new things to buy anyway. So I'm just like, I'll wait until something else comes along and I'll watch it when they're 10 years old and there's a possibility that somebody needs one. But
Yeah. I don't know when we'll see one. They said February, but I'll be surprised if we see one by February.
Yeah.
We just got our first Trail Hunter and sold it here this week.
Is that the one that ended up at Northwest Wheel?
No, I think that was actually a different one.
Different one. That
Yeah.
one looked good. 35s, stock, everything.
Yep.
I was impressed. I was like, whoa, okay.
aren't guys having trouble on 37s to get enough power?
I mean,
Even geared and like 529s.
most guys are having
Yeah.
trouble with enough power on 37s.
Yes, but like
but I don't know. I haven't looked. I haven't even seen one on 37s that I can think of. But
Well-
that's not on portals. But
there was somebody who went early and did them on 37s, and I'll find it later. I'll send it to the group chat. But they were talking about like, oh, nobody should do this. You should stop at 35s because even with they were like 513 or 529 gears, they just didn't have enough power to get 65 on the freeway.
that doesn't seem right at all. That sounds like forum nonsense because that truck has like 450 pound-feet of torque.
It was a video.
So
It was a video, and they were talking about it. It was full overland kitted too, though. It's not like
Was
Probably-
it Westcott?
probably weighed
9,000
9,000 pounds.
I don't know. Is it a white truck? I think.
They were just mad because it wasn't as fast as stock.
Well, and I'm sure they had everything on it. It was a full overland build looking thing.
I just
But
want
they went from 35s to 37s, and they're like, we can't go.
this is like the same people that told you couldn't put
I know.
15-inch wheels on your JK.
I know. The internet sucks.
Oh, look at that thing. That's crazy.
That's cool.
It's still ugly, but
That's a different.
I didn't say good. I said crazy.
The guys I'm thinking
It's
of had a
goofy
Tacoma.
with its
oh,
double Hulk
But-
stash, and I kind of
Yep.
like it.
double
I love it.
Hulkster.
I don't love it,
You
but
just
I,
gotta tear your
I
shirt
don't
off
love
every
it.
once in a while.
Yeah, it's still doesn't do it for me, but it does have 37s on it. So
well, good thing it can't go on the highway.
Westcott Designs or whatever the heck their name is.
Yeah, they make some good stuff. They bolt a lot of good stuff on trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bumpers and stuff. But they make bumpers, right? Don't they make bumpers, or do they just accessorize? I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, well, I've seen their little pages, and they seem to do some cool
What
stuff.
outfit was that?
Wolcott?
Or Westcott?
What?
Westcott.
Westcott. They do lift.
Wool socks?
I don't know.
Whatever.
They do their lifts, but I don't know about any other accessories they might do.
Maybe that's what I mixed it up with.
So this one with black wheels, there's 35s, and then the gold wheels is 37s.
35s is a good look size wise on those.
I don't need you to describe your fucking light kit, dude. Like, oh wow, I bolted these lights on.
There's 200
Sick.
plugs.
Look at all this space between the swing out and the rear hatch.
You can put a Max Track in there.
It's not even a video about the one with 37s. Lame.
Lame.
Moving on. Yeah, still don't
Yeah, the
like
side
it.
profile looks really goofy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, something
It's
about
weird.
it seems squished.
it's the rear door.
The rear
Yeah,
door.
The
looks
rear
short.
door is squished. It's like they made the front door longer, but then made the back door shorter.
Well, and I don't know if you've ever ridden in the back seat of one of the current ones. When you go to get out, that back door is already small.
Yeah.
It's like for me to get out, I'm like,
Kind of fold yourself out
Yeah.
of it. And they need to make a 4Runner long.
Mm.
long
L.
wheelbase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
LWB instead of a TRD. You
Yeah.
can have a TRD LWB.
Pro.
That is
Pro.
impressive.
Trail Hunter
Trail hunter, yeah.
in cement.
It's a small
Right,
essay
Jesse?
to tell people what you drive.
I just saw a new Tundra, and the guy had replaced these the lights that are in the lower grill with brighter ones.
Okay.
As is tradition.
Yeah. And he pulls up to a stoplight, it's dark, and puts his low beams on because he had his high beams on, and then turns those on separately, and they were brighter than his fucking high beams were. And I was like, what was the fucking
Yeah, what are you
Like,
doing with your life?
you made it worse. like
That's
those are fogs. They're supposed to only come on with your low beams, so I get it.
Mhm.
But they also shouldn't be brighter than your headlights because that actually makes it worse.
I mean, I'm the idiot that ran 100-watt halogen bulbs and Votex fogs in a Mark III, and they were definitely as brighter than my headlights. So
Yeah.
The difference is this is a modern vehicle with modern headlights already.
it was
Mhm.
modern then.
Yeah. It's smarter than those days.
Back in my day.
Yeah. It just reminded me of one of the things that I can't stand about trucks and additional lights is when people just drive around
Oh, God.
regular daylight
With them on.
whatever, and they've got
Nothing
all
like a
their
light
light
bar
bars
on.
on and all that shit, and it's just like what
What are you doing?
why what is the reasoning for this?
Yeah. I
can see your truck.
I use my big lights in place of high beams a lot of the time, but
Mhm.
that's not in traffic.
Yeah.
Or
nobody
the
can tell.
daytime.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not in the daytime.
Not in
Yeah.
the day.
I used
broad
to-
daylight.
I used to argue with Dave Rose about this because he would drive around with his high beams on during the day to not wear out his low beams, but he wouldn't just turn his headlights off. You have to have running lights on, even though he was driving a 2001 Suzuki Grand Vitara. So he would drive it around all day with his high beams on, and I was like, I hate you. Every time you pull up and everywhere you go, just because it's daytime doesn't mean that those don't shine straight in my eyes and suck. And he go, no, it doesn't really bother anybody. I was like, you get your lights, people flash you during the day. Like,
That's me walking the dog. And I can't believe how many people drive up our street with their high beams on, and I'm like they get up to me, and I got my head down.
if
And
it's
they dim. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
if it's under 40 miles an hour, you're not going fast enough to
No,
need to
there's-
see
yeah,
that
If
far.
you're in
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
low
God.
beams.
Yeah.
It's just, that's an irk for me.
Auto high beams could make an explanation for that if you turned them on, and it still doesn't. You still shouldn't be using your high beams in a neighborhood at 20 miles an hour. But if your car just decides it should,
I have auto high beams and I turn them off anytime I can. But even with the Ford, they turn off automatically anything under 40 miles an hour.
That's
They're
nice.
just, and I think that's a reasonable number. I wish it would be like 50, but I hate getting with modern headlights. I hate being flashed in the eyes and how bright that shit is. And I'm always wrong. I'm always like, I should flash these people because their high beams are on, and then they get closer and it's just like it's not.
Yeah,
It's just-
the new headlights
just
get
brand
me
new.
all the
Okay,
time.
fine.
I never flash my headlights at anybody because I'm like,
No.
those are probably just low beams.
Yep.
Just have to
Yep.
keep telling myself that.
And then you get closer and you're like, I can see the fog lights are on. Okay, I know. All right. Okay.
Does
Yeah.
anybody play the game if you're in a lower car and you pull up to a light and someone comes up behind you and you try to move your side
Mirror.
view mirror
Oh,
to
yeah.
reflect back at them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. What feels like they're
Yeah.
inside of your car.
Right.
I hate
You're
that.
like, why you got to be so close? Then you look back, they're like 8 feet back off your bumper. You're like, oh, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Oh, we just talked about that with your Miata,
Yeah.
didn't we? That's
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah, I've gotten questions of why do you have the rear window shade up in
On
the
your
Audi
Audi.
when it's dark? It's like, well, let me tell you.
Come take a ride with me.
Take
That's
a ride
when I
with
need
me
it the
in
most.
the dark.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to talk about our camp trip. We went on a camp trip, a winter camp trip.
A winter
Yeah.
camp trip.
It was
Believe
going to be a
or not.
snow
The first
camp
of its
trip.
kind.
Believe it or not. Yeah, it was going to be a snow camp trip, and it could have been a snow camp trip, but we did not camp in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a cold camp trip.
Yeah, and it really wasn't that.
It wasn't
It was
terrible.
a baby step. It was a beautiful baby
Mhm.
step.
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
exactly.
a good first time.
Yeah, we're like, ooh, does all our stuff work?
I have to say, I've been anti-snow camping just outwardly for the entire time,
Mhm.
and I have not changed that position. Just so we're
This
we're
trip didn't
clear.
change that for
No.
you?
But cold camp seemed all right.
No,
No, oh okay. Well,
but what I was gonna say is, even with me thinking that at my intolerance of cold camping,
Mm-hmm.
I heard many times people say, "This is great. We should camp in the winter more often." And I thought, cool, you have fun with that.
you're like, and that's why I'm moving away.
Exactly.
I mean, I was fine with it.
Yeah. See,
I'd do it more. I think.
that's
I would
okay.
do it differently though. I would definitely not sleep in the back of the Jeep with a 5-year-old. There's not enough room for 2 people, even if he's small.
Yeah, well.
That part sucked.
Pretty sure anybody could have told you that.
I've
but-
slept in the back of it by myself, no problem, tons of times. That kid Starfish is like you wouldn't believe.
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's a kid.
That's a kid.
I've had him for 5 years, I know, but it seemed like it was going to work better. The tent cot, him and I sleep in great, but it's because he can't spread out. It's too small. So he just kind of curls up and gets small, and it's fine. So next time, I think that's what we would do if we were going to do another cold camp. Because I have an electric blanket. We have enough sleeping bags. We were in the Jeep with the heater on, the diesel heater on, and like both of us were laying on top of our sleeping bags. Neither of us had any. We were just like spread out and trying to cool
Had
off.
that thing up too high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You insulated it way too well with your
With
cardboard,
my cardboard.
sheet.
Yep. Guess what worked? No problem.
Hmm.
That.
Yeah.
Do you know
I
about
had-
what elevation you were at?
Like
3,000
Yeah, it was
something?
3,000
Oh,
something.
okay.
It was pretty low. Like we got out to the area, and I was headed to the first like spot that I was thinking would be a good spot to camp in. It was literally right at the snow line. I was like, oh, okay, that works out okay. It'd be the warmest spot we could be while on the snow. And we pulled down this road, and we had only been down this like section of road that a big snowcat had been on, and that's it. So everything's packed. So we're driving on it fine, except for Cody. And and so like we hadn't aired down anything, and Sean and I were both like, well, let's just drive down there and see if we can get into that spot, not aired, no airing down or nothing. Yeah, that was a mistake. We get down this hill, and it was a short hill, but you dropped a ways into this little gully where there's like a lake, and the snow was instantly terrible.
Yeah.
And then I went down to go get him.
Well, you went down to go get us after I got stuck trying to get to the little road, the spur road that would go into the camp spot, and I couldn't make it to that. So Sean had to pull me backwards and then get turned around, and then I had to turn around. And then, or did I rescue you first? That's what it was.
Well, yeah, I
rescued- you
winched
got
off of you. Yeah.
you got stuck before I got stuck.
Yep.
And then we turned around after you got me unstuck again. And then it was the nightmare ensuing.
Yeah.
Where
And then I
you
came down, I
down
got
the
him
hill.
unstuck. And then
And then tried to turn
got
around
stuck.
and got
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah, the entire thing we learned in that moment was, if the snow got messed up at all, that was it. Game over. Turned
Yeah.
to dust, and then
Yep.
you were buried
Well-
because it was even there. It was 2 feet deep at least.
Mhm.
and then hard packed in the middle. So you'd have this crust that you couldn't break through to get off the path, but it was also like axle high, and
Yeah.
then everything else was gone. So it was like you're high centered, and everything else is made out of powder, but you can't. It's not powder there, so you can't go anywhere. It was great.
Yeah, bad news. So
But- We made all the right calls. We worked really hard, got to some places, and then we continued on and went home. Everything
that
was
just
fine.
Summed up the entire
Wow.
trip. All right. Well, I guess we're done with the
Yeah,
podcast.
shit.
See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. So once we got out of there, it was okay, it's getting close to dark. Is it worth it to attempt to go and find someplace further without knowing the rest of the conditions? Or do we go back to below the snow line and get a spot below the snow line? And that's what we end up doing. So it was like 15, 20 minutes back on the road to get to this cool little spot that we saw like on the way out. And yeah, I mean, so we didn't have to camp on the snow. So that was kind of nice to not like stand in the snow the whole time.
It was still light out when we were setting
It
up.
was still light out. Yeah. Still timed that okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty killer night. The fire was
good.
Hot as hell.
Yeah, good fire.
Holy cow. I
found out that my tent was full of water and ice.
Oh.
So I did not sleep in my tent.
Mm-hmm.
It was neat.
Luckily,
I brought the kids' sleep setup, and it was incredibly comfortable. So that worked out. Don't know why. Don't know how. It was in Lapine being stored inside, and I didn't check it when I put it back on the car. I didn't even think about it. Just like it's never been a problem. I always just open it up, and my stuff is there, and I'm good to go. And I thought about it before I left the house, but I was in too much of a hurry, so I just didn't. And then when I got out there, I couldn't even get the blanket out of it because it was frozen to the mattress. I was like,
Wayne's just been dumping water on it in the corner of the shop every once in a while.
Yeah, no kidding. No idea. So I haven't opened it since. It's supposed to be pretty warm next week. So I'm thinking I might just figure it out then.
Yeah. Open it up and run the diesel heater in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about
it'll dry it out.
Yeah, I was on a big kick that I had used the little Exped mattress and I had liked it so much inside the car that I was like, I'm going to measure the tent to see if I can get one that fits it. And if I can, I'm just going to throw everything inside of the tent away. Just get rid of it. Mattress, topper, sleeping bag, and comforter that's in there because
I think a lot of that can go in the washing machine, but if you want to throw it away, I feel like
it's an old comforter. And then the sleeping bag I only use as like sheets. I don't ever sleep in the sleeping bag. It's just like the bottom.
No anti-condensation mat?
Well, there is one.
I mean, there was condensation in there. But...
yeah, at the bottom, I guess there
got
is.
full.
There's a honeycomb on the very bottom,
I
think. Yeah, that thing never gets condensation in it really. A little bit on the like the tent fabric material, but it's got that quilted stuff that's always perfectly dry and nice. Not anymore.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah, it must have been. It was sitting on its side, so which still doesn't make sense. You would think that it would. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, Sean slept in his car.
So did I.
So did
mine was worse.
Yeah, and so did Jesse, and so did Oliver.
Yeah, mine was comfy. I had the diesel heater. I opened my little quarter window in the back and shoved the tube in there, so I'd get some air circulation too. It was probably like 65 in there all night. It was great.
Ooh, that's warm.
It was warm. I had like my feet out of my blanket and just
you
comfy as can be.
You guys went real warm. I mean, Tyson did too, from the sounds of it. But I mean, we know Tyson.
Tyson preheated his tent for like 3.5 hours.
Yeah. I was going to get a question. Did Tyson's heater work good?
It did.
Great.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Awesome.
Went successful. He had a successful diesel heater experience.
He did say that it leaked in the Sequoia when he took it home.
Oh, no.
He put diesel in it, put it in the Sequoia, and it leaked.
I do remember him.
He's got bad luck with those.
Something, I don't know.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Well, it has an air dimple in the cap. So if it's any kind of like diesel on the cap, it's going to leak. But you got to stop it a little early so that it just sloshes around without getting up to the cap and it's okay. But I've never had any issues. I had it stored on the outside of my vehicle. I've had them inside my vehicle. I've never leaked any diesel.
I don't think I've had any leaks either. But I mean,
good old leaky Tyson.
Yeah, mine's been pretty good. I just ran it on the number 3 setting from the bottom, and it was overnight was like totally like it wasn't so warm that I was kicking my legs out like everybody else. It was just like just enough to be like, okay, my face isn't. I'm not waking up with my face just like
freezing.
It's just like, it's just a comfortable room to sleep in with my sleeping bag. That's
nice.
Perfect. It was just like a perfect level.
I did not want a situation where like in the middle of the night it got way colder and I had a complaining child. That was my whole thing. I was like, I'll sleep on top. And I was plenty comfortable. It was probably 72 in there.
Jeez.
I was just
balmy.
Just fine. Not that uncomfortable. And Miles still woke up at 5 o'clock and started poking me and kicking me and said, "Dad, I'm going to play my video games." And it was like 5 o'clock. Miles, stop it. And he goes, "Well, I'm going to play this video game." And it was the Wild Kratts, which is like this animal-based TV show that's on PBS. In the game, every time you push a button, they go, "That's great. Put on the shark suit." Or, "That's great. You're now a flying fish." Or "You got to use the seahorse." And it's just yelling it. And I'm laying there angry and awake at 5 o'clock in the morning trying to convince myself that I'm not awake. I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping right now. He's fine. We're all fine. I'm sleeping. And then around 8 o'clock, I was just like, fine. We can go out there. I made him wait until he saw other people. And every time, like, you got down, I think, to go to the bathroom or something. Maybe he's making shit up, but he's like, "I see Uncle Sean." I mean, I was like, no, you don't. And he goes, "I think I do." And I was like, "No, you don't." And I look over and I see nobody. And he goes, "Oh, I think he went back up." And I was like, "Great. Well, then we're not going out there."
Yeah, I got up there was no one out. I got up at like 7 and waited around. And then I actually got out of the car at, I don't know, 7:50 or whatever.
Yeah, I
And
didn't see any
up.
action until like right at 8.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, "Yeah, okay."
I was surprised.
I was
that
too.
group of people don't usually stay or sleep that long.
Yeah, Jesse especially. Yeah.
So when I woke up the first time at whatever 6:30, right at daybreak, I was like, well, I guess if Jesse's out there, I'll make coffee. And then I look around, I was like, nope. All right, I'm gonna go to sleep for a little bit. That is one benefit of sleeping in your car. It's like the best view of camp, like because up top you have to in the tent.
Because you didn't have any
zip it
curtains
down.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I don't.
Got to get the curtain game going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Otherwise, it gets light too early.
which I
Not in the winter.
I
See?
like
So
yeah,
winter
exactly.
camping. Perfect.
Winter camping is better
But
for that.
summer, not so great.
Yeah.
I like that at home. I'm weird. I don't like to have like blackout curtains. I like to have the sun in the morning.
Oh, I
Gotta be
hate
dark.
it.
Gotta be dark.
don't even want
most
to know if there's a
people-
moon.
I gotta have it. It makes me feel trapped. Actually, Aaron, aren't you the same way? Didn't we have this conversation one time, or is it? I'm thinking to someone else. Damn.
I like my room dark.
Damn. I'm like I'm aware that no one likes that, but
I wear a
good.
mask over
Oh,
my
Jesus.
eyes and earplugs. I don't want the world to exist until I'm awake again.
man,
Yeah.
Not
Well-
for me.
You could rob me blind, and as long as you don't touch the comforter, I have no idea.
Okay.
Did
So-
Steve make the trip?
Nope.
No.
No,
Okay.
Steve. It was.
I was curious if there was a menu.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Royce actually came through. Big
Royce,
shout out to
yeah,
Royce for
Royce
his
brought some
food.
good
It's
stuff.
meat pies.
He
Mhm.
brought some
Ooh.
meat pies and these really good breakfast burritos too.
Nice.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're not better than Steve's. Steve, everything is.
Don't worry, he's not
you
coming
still-
for your
you still
for
have
your
the
actions.
crown,
Steve, I promise.
But they were pretty good. And in
There
a
will be a
pinch-
bake-off next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then like next day, what do we we kind of rolled out about 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
There
about
was that. We only saw 2 cars. There was a couple trains.
it was so
That was
So
we were-
loud.
we were relatively near a train track, and so
Wow.
and there was like a train track and a forest road crossing of it. So of course it's got to blare its horn
Mm-hmm.
to get across. It was there, and in the middle of the night, there were a couple times where it was like, oh, that sucks. But I promise you guys, it was not as loud as when Steve and I were on the 4-wheeler trip.
Oh yeah.
When we were in Needles, or not in Needles, it was like outside of Needles, but there was like this train that went right past where we camped the first night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, closer than the train is to the shop right now.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
it was way too loud. It sucked. But yeah, we saw those 2 trucks, and that was the only vehicles we saw the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So we get out and we go, and this time, Sean was already aired down to like 3.
Which made the drive, the 15 minutes back and then back up to the snow,
Mhm.
really interesting because it was like this really tight little road and you'd have to swerve around things. And I had 0 steering response. So I could turn the wheel like a quarter turn before it did anything. So it's fun.
Yeah. So we get back to the snow, and like I said, it had this big snow cat, obviously, because up at the top of the hill, there's like a watchtower.
Mm.
So obviously they were running supplies and or people in and out of it. And that's why, so it was like great for us to drive on because it was like heavy packed. And then plus with the weather, the way it's just been freezing it, melting it, freezing it. So it was like super firm.
Yeah.
And so we were doing totally fine once everybody aired down. I mean, almost everybody was single digits right away, just as the like, okay, we saw how bad it was. Just go to single digits now. We'll be all, then we might be okay. And until we got to the shaded side of the hill,
Yeah.
and Sean and I made it up fine. Royce almost made it up fine.
He was so close, and he just fell right off of the tracks.
Just right at the very end. But everybody else behind them, it was
to be fair,
it was a big issue.
To be fair, the two least capable, least ground clearance vehicles were right next to each other, which was probably a mistake that we made early on. And
well, they were a car apart. There was a Tyson between the two of them.
No, Tyson was behind the. Yeah, it was. Oh, you're right. No, you're right.
Oh,
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, welcome.
To be fair, but then he wasn't. It didn't count again because he broke his winch.
Oh, no.
So that's why I cut him off.
Yeah.
He was capable to get himself through,
Mhm.
but he wasn't able to help anybody. And the other problem was we kept trying to use these kinetic ropes, which are great in so many situations, but
Not in that.
just
Not in that
Oliver would bury every time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not his fault, but he had power and weight, and then he'd hit the end of the rope,
I don't know about power.
and it would go, "Brah," and enough to spin the tires and sink.
Anything was enough to spin the tires on that. Yeah.
So once we stopped using the kinetic ropes and we just used them as like tug-alongs, we were able to make better.
Yeah, it was just use them as like just get
Some
tension on it so that like the truck isn't using only the truck to get moving. And it was the first time ever that we've used traction boards and they actually work.
It was amazing.
They were that like as soon as we started using the traction boards,
We were making 8 or 9 feet.
everything was moving along. We got Robert way out, like he was way stuck.
We destroyed them,
and
though.
we got Robert. Well, just the one.
The other one I thought was still cracked on the
one was
end.
cracked like in the middle, but the other, the other one was totally fine.
One is missing a quarter of it. Like it's just gone, yarded out.
Yeah, that was. It was pretty. It was like a weird success. Like that
all of us rooted against.
Yeah, we hate traction boards, but maybe this will work this time, and it did. And it was just because the snow was so soft that as soon as you put anything on it, everything sank. Like if you came off of what was frozen, it was just instantly buried.
Yeah.
So
and
we
even
just
if
had
you're
to use
on the
those
frozen
to get
stuff,
on top of what wasn't frozen, and then like get everybody adjusted to drive on the frozen. And you couldn't like do the typical power through it to get through.
No chance.
Because you'd
Sink.
instantly dig and sink. So it was just like it would turned into go as slow as possible.
do not turn a tire.
just creep along, staying on whatever is obviously packed and frozen still. And
But by the time,
that's how it
so I
worked.
was last on the way up that hill, and by the time I was going over stuff, the frozen parts were cracking along the edges, like the frozen sections
you were
were
also
sinking in.
wider than
I know.
the narrow cars
Than
that
the
went
cars in
ahead
front
of
of
you.
you.
So
But I was just like, as I was driving up it, I would watch like this crack appear all the way down the side on the side of my stuff as I was going, and then I'd get up to another spot and I'd be like, okay, and then another crack would appear, and I'm like, even the good stuff's not going to be good for very much longer, which was my argument when we got to the top, because Jesse wanted to turn around and go back, and there was a few people who were like, going back is the way to go. It took us so long to get up to the top, we should go back. And I was like, I don't think it's a good idea to go back. I think that we spent 4.5 hours going here, and all we did was ruin everything on the way.
we know that it's going to be a bunch of. I mean, I understood the argument of the evil we know versus the evil we don't, but when there's that many holes that we know as soon as somebody's in, you're not getting out without someone recovering.
Yeah, you're going to be stuck even on the way down.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
And there weren't very many trees to winch off in those areas. It's not like first car couldn't pull themselves through.
Cliff edge, basically, because
Yeah.
it was like a shelf road to get through.
Yeah.
So
And I think this is one of the few times where you and I were both like, same page. We continue on the sunny side where the weather's going to have helped the snow, and ideally the snowpack is higher elevation, which turned out to be mostly correct until we got towards the bottom in that other shady spot that caught all the low-hanging fruit again.
Yeah.
But man, it was a lot of work, but it was the fun kind where nobody was that, like, nothing was broken. Nobody was like, this is the end. It wasn't dark. We weren't freaking out. It was just, all right, we're going to have to put some work in to get this next car through, and we're going to have to put some work in to get this next Tacoma through, and it's going to be fine. It'll just take a little while.
There was when Sean and I were up at the top, there was a couple of
Some of the radio messages were a little...
messages that felt a little doomsday-y. But it was like once Sean and I went back in Sean's car to help Royce get through the last little section that he was stuck in, and then I walked the rest of the way down, it was literally just change plans of how we're getting Cody unstuck, and then it was like everything was fine again.
Yep.
Just the process was started over, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
Until Tyson broke his winch because he was hooked up to Robert trying to pull himself and Robert, and
I didn't realize that's what had happened there.
And so
it was just the fuse, though. I mean, it was just it
wasn't the fuse.
It's the fuse in the rope. That's what they call it. That screw is the fuse in the rope.
Yeah, that holds the rope to the spool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he had over-spooled out, like it was at its complete limit, and so it didn't have enough wraps on the spool when he actually put pressure on it, and it just busted busted that screw.
Okay.
So
that's not too bad.
So it wasn't like a terrible thing, but it did cause now we've got to figure out something else.
Yeah.
Next try.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to the top, hung out up there, argued about which way we were going to go, and then continued the same way, and it was the correct choice,
absolutely.
like you said, because there were some narrower spots, and the tracks weren't as good because they were they weren't like super wide snowcat tracks. They were like a
but
tracked
people fell off
vehicle
them way less
tracks
for some reason, which I don't know why.
You think so?
I think everybody figured out how to drive on them a little bit too.
Well,
then.
yeah, and everybody that was still running double-digit air pressures finally went down to single digits.
Yep.
And did better. So
yeah.
So we did that. There was a couple of cool spots that like the drifts had like melted completely out, and then so you like kind of had to crawl through this and back onto the next one and shit like that. So it was kind of a cool little road. And then like Mike said, at the very bottom where it like flattened out, but it was super like forested and shady. Then the snow changed again, and it like went to no frozen stuff, just the powder, and it was like this.
It was pretty flat.
Yeah,
too.
and it was just completely flat. So as soon as we got into it, it was like, don't slow down, just go. And even Royce had mentioned like he saw a couple of little out routes, and he was like, I kind of want to drive over there and see what that does, but I also don't want to be that guy that does that and then gets stuck.
Yep.
So, and I was like, yep, I saw exactly the spot you're talking about, and we just had to mash through it. But then there were some issues in there too.
Yeah, what happened? How did Cody just got stuck because he was
not even in the wrong spot. He was exactly on the path.
Just the lowest with the smallest tires and the narrow tires. Yeah.
Yep. And he was down at I think he was at 6 pounds or something. He went to 6 first. He was on the uphill when we were still doing the 2-wheel drive challenge. He was just
lasted 200 feet.
He got slightly stuck. Like he slid over just a little bit. And I was like, what are you going to go down to? He's like, I take the cores out. And when I stop hearing it hiss, I put them back in. I was like, oh, okay.
Sounds good.
That seems aggressive for some 32 or 33 inch tires and non-beadlock wheels, but I like what I like what you're doing.
I guess they're aftermarket wheels, but
you did great. I mean, on everything that wasn't too deep, he was doing awesome. And then as soon as it got too deep, there's just so much that hangs down on a regular mid-sized truck. So,
yeah. So then what did we get? We got Yumi and Royce got through without an issue.
Yep.
And then we hear on the radio from Oliver, hey, Sean, you want to come back here and use some of those bald eagles?
Yeah.
Because he was stuck? Or Who was stuck at
Cody
that
was
point?
stuck.
Cody was stuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was Cody was stuck holding everybody up.
Right.
And I think, did you guys try to pull him backwards or anything?
We tried to pull him backwards. We tried to figure out if it would be worth trying to get forwards, and then like somebody tried to walk out the side and went hip deep. Well, that's never going to work.
Mhm.
And so we pulled him backwards and we pushed him, and we were using max tracks. We were doing all the things that we could. And we just weren't making any progress because he kept sinking every moment that he was off the traction boards. And he didn't have enough, like there's no lockers, there's no traction control that was working well enough to keep, like you couldn't just keep traction boards on the left side and keep him walking up, because the other side would just spin and he would just sink and that side would stop. So we were just making no progress. And we were like, well, somebody's going to have to come back and yard him through here. Which you did, and you turned around just fine, which was amazing.
It surprised me too. I think such low pressure and like the frozen stuff was still there on the sides, and that's like what you guys fell into with like shoes on. But with my tires, I watched it just got on top, and I was like, okay, well. So I just whipped it around. It took 3 or 4 shots to do it, but like no drama.
I waited for you to dig each
Plus,
time.
he was
I
at
was
2.5 PSI at this point,
Yeah.
I think, so.
Well, yeah, and then I was going to say, so I hook up to Cody and I start going, and then all of a sudden I was complaining before about how much I had to turn, like how much steering input I'd have to give, and I was giving like a half of turn of input, maybe a quarter turn, I guess, like 90 over, and I just couldn't, like it was just felt weird, and all of a sudden I was like, Cody, you think you can drive forward? He said, yeah, I think it's fine here. So I stop and we unhook him, and I just walk around to the front of the truck, and I lost my passenger front inner bead, which is funny because you were talking about people being on stock wheels or whatever in their single digits.
It's
But the one guy
on actual bead lock. Well,
lost
Jesse's
a bead.
on bead lock.
Jesse's
and
got bead
Jesse.
locks too, yeah.
and 40s, and he was at like 18 PSI on that hill.
Well, that truck's
And he's
heavy.
He's like, I keep digging holes, and I'm like, why are you so high in pressure?
Yeah.
You have 40s and bead locks. You should be,
Does he have bead locks on?
Yeah, they're the same
Yeah.
wheels as mine.
Same
yeah.
wheels as yours. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we just aired it up. It turns out there was no problem.
Went right back on.
It was just Cody and I, and we were looking at it, and it was a real head scratching oh shit moment where I was like,
well, I heard you on the radio.
I just said what happened and then got out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Cody, do you have a high lift with you? No. Okay. Well, and then I said, I guess let's just try the easy thing first. Let's just see what happens. He's like, yeah, okay, let's pump it up. Let's see if we can like push on it or something. I was like, yeah. I just hooked the air hose to it and it just started inflating. And I was like, oh,
There we go.
okay, cool. Aired it back up to, I didn't even check what appeared to be 3 or 4 PSI based on the squish on the other tires. And then we just motored on down. And then
You never said anything else about it.
no, I said that I said we
He
pumped
got
it
on the
up.
radio and said he
Yeah.
got it back
We
seated
didn't,
and they were on their way.
on our back stuck people, we had no idea. We just were like, well, I hope Sean's going to be fine by the time we get there, because we're going to be motoring through here.
That's interesting. We must have had some radio problems because I kept trying to radio to you guys after we had gotten back down to no snow. Remember calling in because I was like, where are they? And I kept checking and nobody said anything for
It took a while to get a
10
response.
minutes or so. And then finally someone was like, all right, well, Oliver's finally unstuck or whatever the thing was. And then you guys came along.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun just back there. And then it was slightly frustrating until everybody got on the same page, and it was fun again, just getting people moving.
Yeah.
But
were people just not going?
no, it was like 5 people had 4 ideas on how 3 of us should do stuff. And it was like, okay, yes, but, and by the time like you got back, I had already yelled at everybody a little bit because they had Oliver hooked up to your brother, and Oliver would pull him to the hole Oliver dug. We'd get Oliver out, and he'd hook up to your brother, and he'd pull him to the next hole. And then I was like, stop doing that. Oliver, you have a winch. Stop trying to use kinetics on this because you just dig a hole every time. And as soon as they winched both of them, like they were starting to move that again. But now there was 9 holes, which made, only 15 feet, but it was the 9 holes of doom on the side of a hill that we had to get everybody else through.
What was Oliver driving?
The Bronco.
I haven't seen that.
It's his fiance's Bronco actually, but
Yep.
it's like a You call it. It's not a brick nose.
That is a brick
It
nose.
is a brick nose.
Yes.
Okay. What's the one that's not a brick nose that's like that?
Bull nose.
Bull nose. Okay.
I mean, it's
different.
A bull nose is what's that white one that's sitting right out there in the shop right now. It's more 70s looking.
It's the in
The one that
headlights
looks
with the
like
grill.
that isn't that is the arrow nose, which is the traditional OBS.
So many
Right.
noses.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Which the one that
no,
everybody likes.
there's
the
another
OJ Bronco.
There's another one like the late 70s, early 80s that is not like this one out here, and it's not like the one that Oliver's driving. It's in the middle. Like Google 79 Bronco, and that's what I'm thinking
I think
about.
that's still technically a bull nose, but it's a different
It's a different body style.
It's a different grill or whatever.
Oh no, not 79. Hold on. Man.
Yeah. Let's let him
And
figure
then
this out.
what was Cody driving? A Tacoma?
His Tacoma, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
stock.
I see what you're saying now about this
And
one.
then Robert was in his Wrangler.
That's one of my favorites, I think.
And then Raw Dog.
Oh yeah, Jesse with Raw Dog.
Which had
Tyson and Share, and
a
then
Then
the
you
rest of
guys
us in our
transmission
our usual
issue that just went away.
stuff. Royce with his Tacoma. That's
Oh,
long
yeah,
bed.
okay.
Long bed, but at least it had 35s. They're skinnies though. That was kind of his downfall. Was it was a skinny.
We didn't even talk about
What type of Bronco is that?
That's a bull. So that is bull.
Yep.
Yeah. But the one that's out there, it has.
It's just like
It's a-
mid-cycle refresh. It's not a change in
Yes.
the nose.
Yeah, that's still a bull, but it's a different, like.
Okay.
It was just a different grill.
Didn't know that. Anyways,
Well, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Raw Dog's transmission issue that was there, but then gone. And then also Raw Dog had a startup issue where like the fuel pump wouldn't prime. And those are the only two issues that he had, and both of them just resolved themselves. Nobody fixed anything.
It's the best kind
We
of
didn't-
issue.
We didn't correct anything. Raw Dog is self-healing. And it worked out both times. But we were up on the hill getting everybody else unstuck, and Jesse and I were standing there talking. I was like, what if it doesn't go forward anymore? Like, what do we do in that case? Like,
Well-
we have to abandon you. They have to go that way, and we have to go this way. I was just
Jesse,
thinking in my head, I was like, we're doomed.
Jesse's going to yell at me for this because I'm sure that I misunderstood him somehow. But I asked him like 3 times, are you having slip issues or are you just in the snow? And I don't think he ever answered me. And on the radio, he's like, it's definitely slipping. And I'm like, but you've lost like this much fluid, I think. Maybe more. I really don't know. But like that, is it slipping? And it just, I think it might be slipping. Okay.
I gave him my
Is
bottle of
it?
stop slip.
Or, oh, well.
Yeah, it was fine.
Never mind. It's fixed now.
I had a full bottle of Lucas Oil stop
Jesus.
slip, stop leak, all of the above. It was, I don't know if he ever used it, but he had it. And that's when it started working just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, okay.
he made it all the way home.
Good.
Anyways, who knows? Who knows what happened?
Jesse can tell us later.
My transfer case leaks a lot now,
Oh, no.
and so does my front diff.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
So front diff, and I found out that this is like some other people have had this problem. It's the 4-wheel drive actuator where it goes into the little, axle center section.
Mhm.
It's like this 4-bolt little housing, and it's got a gasket on it. And you can see when you look at it, like the gasket's like ripped and like
Oh.
is coming out of the spot there. And,
Is that the thing that had the skid that you squished?
No.
Out crawling? Okay.
So that's the transfer case.
Well, yeah, but I just thought it squished up into the another module on the side of the transfer case. I was just trying to remember.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
The vacuum pumps that are right next to the
Oh,
transfer
okay.
case. Yeah.
That's
So I gotta pull that off. Luckily, I'm not that far away from the 40,000 mile or 45,000 mile drivetrain service interval. So I was like, well, I'll just do that early, I guess. Just do the fluids there. But the transfer case, I do have some concerns because it's that plug that I halfway ripped out. and knew that it would eventually start leaking. And apparently, this trip was
When it started.
what like started to really get it to start leaking. So
Yeah.
I got to pull the plug back out, and hopefully, the threads in the transfer case aren't too terrible. So I can
Tap it and helicoil it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something. We'll see. We'll see there. But those are the only issues I had. I only got stuck on the first day.
I got stuck once.
That was it.
I was the last one through that last bit of flat stuff, and I got stuck there. I just had to hook up to Jesse and pull myself 9 inches. It was 9 inches the whole weekend that I had to pull. And I got out.
Other than the first day.
What about I
I don't know what you're talking about the first day.
you had the longest pull on the first day.
No. That was a rescue attempt.
extension.
Yeah,
We had the
that was a
big
rescue
extension on
attempt.
it.
It doesn't count.
Mhm. No, that was just getting you turned around.
That was a rescue attempt. I was trying to come back and save you guys.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
really, you guys were just extra stuck, and I was down there with you.
Mm.
I can justify this in my head all day long.
Okay.
I felt very proud of myself for not getting super stuck on that first day. Like we got stuck enough to need help, but I didn't make it really bad because
Yeah.
usually what happens in that scenario is I decide that I'm going to power through, and I like kind of half tried for one shot and then went, this isn't the move.
Yeah.
This is
This
not
isn't
how
the
we
snow
do
you do
this.
that, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I was like, I'll just start sawing at the wheel. And then I was like, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sink. Instant. Yeah. Overall, though, it was a pretty all right trip.
Yeah, it was fun. We
Well,
were home like at a reasonable time. It was nice.
Mhm.
the last thing, I did have that hiccup on the drive home.
Oh, yeah.
On
What
that
was
Oh,
that
yeah.
all about?
I have no idea. Never did anything else ever again after that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's
Did
'Cause-
did you turn it off and back on again?
and
That's what he
it
did.
was fine after that. I got out. I think I told Sean, I was like, "There's not a big pile of oil under it," and it started right back up, and all the lights went away. So I think we're just going to be fine about it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying to figure out what happened. But I have a big dent in my gas tank, and I'm thinking that uphill, like we were stomping on it, I just had enough fuel past the dent in the back half of the gas tank that I didn't have enough at the pickup because it misfired, stuttered, lost a bunch of power, and it went into limp mode. But it didn't like die. It didn't have a rod knock. It didn't have anything else go on at all. And then once we got flat, it started running better again. And then once we got back into it, it was fine. But I didn't ever give it the beans again on that uphill slope until after we got fuel. When we got fuel, the next big kind of upgrade that we had on the way on 97, I was just like, all right, let's see. Bah! And I just ran fine and did all the normal stuff and made all the normal sounds. So I really think it was probably a starvation issue. I just didn't have enough fuel at the pickup because I have a huge dent in my gas tank.
You guys used a lot of fuel on that trip.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't put fuel in the last time. I just topped it up in wherever Crescent. But I did. I mean, yes. First off, yes. Secondly,
I made it
I
all. I did the whole trip
you have a stock
home.
vehicle.
on 37s and no gears.
I'm just saying, it's more modern.
Must be the Ultimate 9.
That's what
I
it
had
is.
it
You
in
got an
economy
economy
mode.
mode. You
Yeah.
got an
Driving on
economy.
the road. So
That's all it
That's
takes.
Big shout out to Pete at Ultimate 9.
Honestly, on the highway, you're probably getting better than stock fuel economy.
That's a good chance.
No,
Other than the weight, I guess.
Given the power, though,
it kind of no, it definitely doesn't.
see, you have enough horsepower. Most of you have enough horsepower. All of you but me have enough horsepower to turn these bigger tires without really affecting it as far as like you're just making it work. My Jeep is working.
Well, yeah,
It is mad.
I've also got 8 speeds. So at highway, like even with the wrong gears and tall tires, I still don't think it's getting to 8.
Yeah.
It can't make it there because of the tires, but even still, it's like right around $2,000 when I'm running like 70. So
Yeah.
it's not bad.
No, I remember having one. And it was nice. I was only on 33s, but it was still just having that much horsepower was great. I have like 186 or something new on my Jeep, and it doesn't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not great. This trip has put me very hard into I want a V8, I want tons, and I want 40s. I don't want to be limited
All those things sound right. Yeah.
anymore. So I think I'm gonna solid axle swap a Tahoe. Do tons underneath a Tahoe, so then I don't have to do a motor swap.
There we go.
Well, I don't have to do a motor swap that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of upgrades, I pulled the trigger and ordered those Sumo transfer
Oh,
case
nice.
gear sets.
Nice.
Nice.
Did you get low and high range?
Mhm.
Heck yeah.
Whoa.
Cool.
My front output seal is leaking also.
Oh. Well, all the more reason.
Yeah, you might as well.
And my drain plug is all rounded off, so they're gonna have to chisel it out. So
Cool.
I found that out and was like, well, hey, see if we can get a count with these guys. And
Nice.
Charge it. Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna do that too sometime. Hey Luke,
In Colorado.
gonna use your garage. Get ready.
When I was getting ready for the trip, I was rebuilding one of my lower control arms and put a new axle in the front of the Jeep. And I was underneath of it, and I started looking around. That front skid plate I bought before the Rubicon, I never really paid much attention to it because it's still shiny and black and new looking. It is bent to hell. That thing is crushed up into the oil pan in like 3 places. It protected it. The oil pan's not dented or damaged, but I apparently was absolutely correct in buying that before the Rubicon because I used it a lot from the looks of things.
You couldn't tell that it was
No, it looks
pushed up into it?
no, it looks nice and clean from the top and from the sides. It all looks like it's in
I
the
just
same
mean, like,
spot.
while driving. Because
No.
I knew for sure when my skid plate was up against my oil pan on the Rubicon because I could feel it in the car.
No,
Oh,
you
the
can't feel
vibrations,
yeah.
like,
you can't feel
was-
anything in the Jeep.
Right away, it was like, oh,
Something's
That-
not right.
something's not right here. Sure enough.
That's funny.
The skid plate attaches to the motor mount bolts, so all of it still shakes in the same way. The skid plate I have for my motor plate, it attaches to the
Not the frame. It attaches to the isolated, the rubber
Mhm.
isolator part of the motor mount.
it goes up to the motor mount on the motor side, and then it bolts to 2 frame points down, and then it comes back to my transfer case skid. So the only place it's actually attached to a frame side piece is at the transfer case.
Interesting.
Well, would you
Yeah.
pay money for this?
Is it less dented?
Yeah,
than
good
my
enough.
Jeep?
Let's
do
it. Am I starting with the biggest or the smallest?
Ooh, biggest.
Biggest?
Yeah.
All right. So here we go.
hopefully there's a horse on it.
A horse?
Yeah.
All right.
Like that, I think it was an Earth Cruiser, that
Oh.
video I shared.
Yes.
All right.
The horse
So
on the back.
this here is a 99 GMC 3500 crew
Oh,
cab and
man.
chassis ambulance conversion, currently listed at $11,000.
Yeah.
It's got quite the wrap on it.
It's got a cat engine.
Got a dang old cat.
air
Uh,
brakes.
Unfortunately, it's a 4x2.
Oh,
Oh.
Air brake, 50-inch military tires, custom built from the ground up. Has a gas cook stove and fridge in the box. Tons of storage. So that's why it's so cheap.
mm-hmm.
It's because it's 2-wheel drive.
Interesting.
It's got spiked lug nuts because that's what you need.
Are they spiked or are they long?
They're
'Cause-
spiked.
Okay, I couldn't
It's
see.
got
Stacked light
a
bars.
stacked light bar on the roof so that you can see the sky.
in the future.
The wrap only goes on half the car.
Inside is
Inside's rough.
not looking great.
Inside's rough.
I
It's
take
got his
back
water
my
tank in the
instant
back
yes.
seat.
Oh,
It's been
boy.
a storage unit.
Yeah, this is a storage unit, not a camping
This
unit.
needs a little work.
Yeah, this thing needs
20 minutes of moving
Needs a
your
lot
shit
of-
out of there. You could ask for
it's
$12,000.
still got I wonder if it comes with these little slip-ons here that are sitting there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
gonna-
a
I'm
no.
gonna
ask
no.
Bob.
I'm gonna say no now. I was gonna say yes, but it's
Man,
now
everybody all
no.
at once. Yeah, I'm also going to say no. I did want to make one point though.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I've said this before. Ambulance conversions,
Yep, you
Freak
have
me
said this
out.
before. Yeah.
not into those. Just want to say that.
Is it the dead people and
Yeah, that's
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
what it is, Mike. It's
See, Mike,
dead.
those are
Stuff.
spiked lugs.
Yeah, I see that now. I had to
Mhm.
lean in. I was like, maybe they're just long. Maybe there's long studs.
Yeah,
It's so far away, but the idea is
it
kind of cool.
could be cool,
Yeah.
but it's like
You know what's funny? The 2-wheel drive part about it is like the least offensive part to me. It is the disgusting interior front to back that gets me.
Yeah.
the whole inside.
The whole inside.
A good
needs-
car wash would have really made a difference.
Yeah, but it's like the headliner's hanging, the
Mhm.
dash is all cracked up. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, man.
Not well cared for.
The wrap only being on half the truck is weird too.
You can only see half at one time.
That's true.
That is true.
Hmm.
And also, go back
Man.
to that. Go back one. So it's got a pass through, but it kind of looks like it's not finished in between.
It does look like that's open air right
Yeah.
there behind the like.
That's
yeah.
not good.
Wonder if there's. Let's see. Can we see?
That's what that towel on the seat's for. You got to shove it in there when you stop.
Yeah.
God, they don't have another angle of it to really tell.
Well,
That's because then you'd
what's
see the
that?
hole on the
yeah,
side.
you'd see it's just,
you just need to
That's why they didn't wrap the other side yet. 'cause-
That part.
Yeah.
read the description. Don't ask him questions. You got to come look in person.
Mm.
So you don't go asking stupid questions like, is the cab attached to the back?
yeah.
No,
Right.
come look with your eyes.
Come look with
It
your
says
eyes.
right there, it runs excellent.
Oh, it's perfect.
Dang, C6500 top kick.
Cool.
Yeah.
I see where they were
She's
going,
rough.
but
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a lot of ideas there to finish.
Good initiative.
Okay, so the next one, we're going to switch over to this guy. All right.
Oh, it's the ambulance
It's
episode.
the ambulance episode.
This one's gonna make me.
2001
I can already tell.
E450,
This is gonna make
7.3
me.
Power Stroke. It's
go
only
on.
got 52,800
Also,
miles.
also from Idaho. What's with Idaho
Another
people
Idaho.
and these?
Yep. This one's
ambulance
$29,000.
Okay.
Okay. It's got a bunch of new stuff. Like this thing's looking more
It's
complete.
set up,
He's got a
yeah.
whole electric setup here.
Dang.
390 watt solar panels on it. Got a 12-ton
Full
jack.
speed.
Man, like what is in a spa 20-liter?
It's got a spa?
It's got a water heater.
Yeah.
Nice.
Built frame with 80/20. And the coolant line, weird. There's a lot of man.
Yeah, this thing is like made to live out
It was
of.
purchased new and not installed. So it comes with a bunch of shit that they haven't even done to it. A fridge, frame to hold the fridge, some plywood,
Cool.
screws, fasteners.
Please come take all my shit.
Yeah,
I'm
just-
tired
I
of
am
having it.
Getting rid of everything.
My wife says it's me or the van.
Oof.
No.
And
I'm a no.
it's still just a van.
I mean,
It is an ambulance.
this is just like that. It's just like the Gladiator with all the parts that were like a good idea, but as a whole, it was not.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably it's that without being built. It's like, hey, here's all these parts that to make an amazing.
The electrical system's built,
Yeah,
but
okay, well,
outside of that,
I started this and then didn't want to continue.
yeah, this
You
looks
do it.
like I put
Yeah.
$8,000 into my solar and 12 volt system, and
Mhm.
now
And-
mm,
And now my
it's-
wife makes
and
me
sound
sleep in the
deadening.
van.
wow, yeah, that's
yeah, it's still just a shell. So it's like it is a shell ambulance with the electrics. That
No
Full stop.
No
That's it.
4-wheel drive conversion. No.
it's not 4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
it's still 2-wheel drive.
that ain't it for me. I'm gonna know.
No for me,
I
dog.
don't know also.
Sean said no earlier.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
I'm a big no.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that one's not great either.
All right, so we're van haters or we're ambulance haters. at this
Ambulance.
point.
Ambulance,
Yeah,
yes,
ambulance.
ambulance.
Okay, so this one here
This next ambulance.
is
Ooh,
a 2012. It says long travel Tundra family expedition rig.
Hmm.
Which
45,000. It's in Vegas.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Miles.
No
112,000.
accidents.
Time for your top end reseal and timing cover.
112,000 miles. It's still got 430s. It's the Crew Max.
Big cap.
It's got a GFC on it.
okay.
Okay, front suspension is full Camberg 2.5s, with King 2.5s
King
and bypasses
Ooh,
and
boy.
air bumps.
Mhm.
Rear springs are Icon RXTs with King 2.5 reservoirs and ride right airbags.
Is that long travel or mid travel?
Long travel.
That's long travel
That's
because
long?
it's plus 2.5
Okay,
per side.
got it. Okay.
It's long travel because it says long travel.
All you got to do is say it.
Seems
Remember?
mid.
That's what
Seems
you said
mid.
earlier
Seems
in
mid
the
to me,
podcast.
Bob.
Was all you got to say it. It's got rock sliders. It's got a winch. Tire carrier on the bumper. 46-gallon transfer flow fuel tank.
Ooh.
That's a lot of gallons.
That
You
is
could do
many.
that whole weekend trip we did without
Man.
having to get gas.
Jeez Louise. 18 inch wheels. Let's see. 35s.
I mean, I don't even have to see anymore. I'm in on this.
It's got the.
Would
it does
pay
have
money for that.
the wider flares too.
Yep, got glass on the front.
Yeah.
Got a paint matched GFC.
No, that's just a white GFC.
Show me the service history and I'm in.
Isn't it a white? Isn't it a white truck?
Yeah,
So
it's
isn't
not paint matched.
I think it's
Do you know what paint match means?
yes.
This is like
I
the
know
fully
what it
dressed
means.
engine, right? It's just you gotta. Paint match means the paint matches, not
I
that it's
think
the
it looks
same
from here.
quote color.
The size from here and
You
looking
know how many
at
different
that.
whites there are?
There's only 3. Toyota has all of them.
Yeah,
You don't think the
that's
GFC guys would look at the Toyota white and be like, "That's the one we're going to pick"?
Well, obviously not because it
Yeah,
looks
'cause it's not
off-white
that
compared
ivory.
to the.
It looks pretty darn close at a weird angle when it's real small on somebody else's computer.
Go back to that picture, Colin.
No. I don't want to know. I don't want to even look at this. It definitely looks like a different color, huh?
Yeah. It looks more
It's-
like
Looks a little cream.
an 80s refrigerator.
And actually, honestly, this truck has 3 whites on it because those glass
the
fenders are wrong
different
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, I wonder if they're not painted.
They
maybe.
probably aren't.
Probably.
That'd be my guess.
Man, that thing is bigger
So,
tires.
there's
and a
3
rear
whites, like I
cut
said.
away
There's
from-
3 whites on
yeah,
this thing.
Good point. Yeah, it's sweet. I've always said.
yeah, I'd
But
pay money for that.
would you pay money for that?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, 100%.
What was his asking?
Doesn't matter.
40 something? I don't really care, but I'm just interested.
Yeah, it was 40 grand, I think.
Yeah.
Which,
No.
tell us why.
I've never liked these Tundras. I think these
Oh, okay.
Tundras are ugly as hell.
I think they're all right.
The newer ones only slightly better looking than these.
Yeah.
They don't do it for me. They're
That's
45,000 is the price.
Yeah.
45.
Um, yeah, it's got the right stuff,
Yeah.
but that's not the Tundra I like.
If it was previous generation, the first gen
Mhm.
Tundra, you'd be
Yes,
all
if
over
it was
it.
a first gen
Yeah.
Tundra, I'd be all over
I would
it.
be more into it as that. But functionally, these things are huge and they have all the
Very
storage in the
big.
world.
Yeah, they're
and
much
like,
bigger than the first Tundra.
They're pretty.
Yeah.
I actually kind of don't mind
And
the
more
look
power.
of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I get
and
that.
the power.
I
is
get
nice.
that it is a quote potentially better truck, but
Aesthetically.
we've talked about this before. If I don't want to look at it,
Yeah, it's not
You
worth
know,
it.
I don't
Yeah.
want to drive it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I want to turn around and be like, yeah, it's a good looking truck.
Yep.
Yep.
For me, that not so much.
Yeah.
I think I can get away with it for that because something like that, it's already white. I can sticker it with Win Home inspection gear, and I only have to have one truck. I don't have to get
You say that, but
And then
then you would still
and
have
then-
No,
multiple
I-
things.
one truck for this. I still would have another car and another wheeler and the other stuff. I'm just saying it's got multiple purposes for me.
Sure.
I can work out of that. Imagine pulling up to a job and popping your GFC so you could sit in the back and
And work.
finish your
Do
job.
your,
Yeah.
do your little laptopy stuff.
There's
Uh-huh.
enough.
And then take a
room in-
nap.
Yeah, there you go. For the nap, for sure. I
Yep.
was going to say, there's enough room in that
Post-lunch
cab.
nap.
You could
Yeah.
set up a command center in there.
Mhm.
They have a center console. It's as wide as this table, I swear.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. All right, last one. This is the smallest one.
Ooh.
Yes.
Aaron gets early preview.
Oh, boy.
Sorry. All right.
I ruined the surprise.
97 Geo Tracker
Yes.
Sport, and it's a 13,000. But the cool thing about this LSI is that it's on Camso 4S1 tracks.
Those are like side-by-side tracks.
Another
That's the-
runs perfectly.
That's amazing.
Runs perfect.
That's my favorite.
Gets you absolutely anywhere you want to go, regardless of the time of year, it says. Ryan, snow, mud. It can do it all. Prefer to sell as a package deal, but willing to separate.
Does it come with tires?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 13 comes with tracks, and the tracks you're talking. I mean, it's like you're getting a free Geo tracker almost.
Yeah, they're expensive
because tracks ain't cheap. But solid axle swapped in the front.
Winch bumper, winch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rebuild engine. High steer. Let's see. New rear springs. New links. Winch. Upgraded alternator. It's got 421 transfer gears. Cute little 33s for when you're not running the tracks. But yes, and you're right. They are UTV. Tracks because it's a little
because it doesn't need any more than that. Yeah,
it's within the weight.
It weighs less than a 4-door Polaris, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's flat green.
That's rad with the tires on.
Yeah,
and it's got the hard top too.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. So
it'd be hard to sleep in the back of that.
Yes, it would be hard to sleep in the back of that. You'd probably need your ground tent on your roof.
Yep, rooftop ground tent.
The interior is pretty good. Yeah.
Favorite seats.
It's got cool little patterned seats. A couple pictures of the tracks.
Where would you store them,
Out there in the snow. Look at that thing.
I bet he would have been fine this weekend.
Yep, he would have. Would have floated right along. So, yeah, I'm a yes.
Yes.
absolutely.
I'm on the fence.
Really?
I don't know if I don't like the sidekick as much as like trackers. I don't like the 2-door for some reason. Like what Colin's saying, to like look back at it and think it's cool. I would have a hard time with this.
This is a tracker.
What's the sidekick? Is
4-door.
The 4-door? Okay.
And
well,
it's a Suzuki.
I had it backwards.
And yeah, that's a Suzuki.
Well, they're the same thing.
same, but different.
We're splitting hairs. Okay?
I see that. Yeah, I'll say yes. I would pay money for that.
Boy, begrudgingly, he says yes.
Join us.
Weirdly, the tracks are not what get me. It looks better on the tires, and I think that
so
to me, I'm like, all right, cool. It's straight axle swapped, and it's on. It looks good. The tracks are like okay.
I love these seats too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would
such a pain in the ass.
Literally never use them except for the snow. That would be the only time I'd. But it's like I said, for that price,
you have to trailer it out, and
it's like you're getting a free Geo tracker.
With your tracks.
Tracks.
Air down a lot, and you go sell those tracks. And now you've got fuel for the next 26 years on that motor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, that's all I had for you.
Cool.
Good selection.
All right, so we hate ambulances.
Yeah.
Toyotas are mid in the group. I guess 3/4. What would you... Extra mid? Because we lost a quarter. And then Tracker's a winner. Not what I would have...
A winner, but only begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Because of Sean.
Yeah.
A quarter of it was begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have messed that whole thing up.
Gone either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Well,
anybody else got any good news before they go?
I don't. This is my last time in the seat, though.
Yep.
I don't want to. I don't want to
visit someday.
For now, I'll probably get a different seat though.
Well,
I come back.
Gonna bring a new seat with you?
Yeah. They'll make me sit over there.
Yeah.
Next to Colin.
Right? Yeah. Instead of across.
Yeah. That was it. I just wanted to just make that thought.
Last in studio.
Yeah, last in studio.
Which means by next Wednesday, I expect you to have a microphone and a mixer and whatnot for your house.
Yeah, I'll see you on my AirPods in the kitchen.
In the kitchen with the dog.
Yeah. My stuff is supposed to show up next Wednesday, so.
Right on time.
Yeah.
On time. Can't wait. I'm going to be raring to go for a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Sean's going to be carrying boxes with a phone strapped to the front of his chest and just going, whatever, as he's putting things away.
Yeah.
Would you pay money for that? It's a jacuzzi tub. And he goes, yes, fine. Get out of here.
I mean, maybe I would pay money for a jacuzzi tub.